It's kind of crazy how nowadays J. Cole's name mostly comes up in conversations about how he apologized to Kendrick in his own festival.
Dreamville, y'all love Kendrick Lamar, correct? As do I.
But not too long ago, there was actually a time when a lot of people rated J. Cole above Kendrick. Yeah, I know that sounds wild, but from 2019 all the way up until the Like That moment, Cole was on one of the best feature runs in hip-hop ever. He was absolutely snapping on every verse, the kind of run Drake had from 2012 down to 2018. But with a key difference, Drake was chasing radio hits while Cole was rapping like he was trying to earn a record deal. Back then, it felt like every time Cole hopped on a song, he had something to prove, and that hunger was refreshing, especially coming from a rapper who was already solidified. But let's rewind a bit. When Cole first came up, everybody knew he could rap. That was never really the problem. The issue was that he could not make hits. Like, it got so bad that Jay-Z, who had signed him, did not even want to release his album because he thought there were no hits on the song.
It's supposed to be slept on, but it's got to be an Illmatic boom boom. And once I signed to Jay, and this nigga was like, nah, you're not putting the album out till you got some fucking hits. And I'm like, oh shit, I had to trial and error for a year and a half, 2 years. Workout was like, I squeezed that shit out last minute, but it's like, that was an unnatural space for me. Even if you listen to it, it's like, I can't even hear that shit back because I'm trying.
Still, in the early 2010s, J. Cole became a household name. He was working with heavyweights like Jay-Z, Drake, and even Beyonce. He even got a shout out from DMX, who by the way said he liked Cole.
Who impresses DMX right now? Anybody?
J. Cole is nice.
J. Cole?
J. Cole is nice. Lyrically, I heard his first song on the radio before I even knew who it was. Like, damn, who's that? You mean? Something like just grabbed my attention like that.
But couldn't stand Drake.
Drake, you like Drake?
No.
My man.
He didn't even say a little bit.
DMX.
He didn't even say halfway.
That's my guy right there.
No.
That's why X is necessary in the game right there.
Man. Now, why don't you like Drake?
I don't like anything about Drake.
My
I don't like his voice. I don't like what he talks about. I
be trying to tell these people. I don't like it.
DMX did not even know who Kendrick Lamar was.
Like new dudes that's nice.
What about
man.
like Kendrick Lamar from the West Coast?
Don't know who that is. No offense. I don't know a lot of these guys' names. I know that I'm not nothing against that.
Oh, well, you should follow up on that. I think you would like him.
Okay.
He's lyrical. And he's talking about something. He's got a message in his music.
Kendrick Lamar. He works with Dr. Dre. He signed the Interscope. But
That shows you how early we were in the game. At that time, Kendrick was not really a household name yet. In fact, Cole had even tried to sign Kendrick to his Dreamville label, and if you have been a fan long enough, you'll remember the mythical joint album they were supposed to do together. Now, given how much bigger Cole was back then, it's safe to assume that Cole was the one too busy to make it happen. Even though Kendrick clearly wanted to, he was literally playing songs from it for fans outside the record stores.
Yeah, often I'm caught up in confusion and need a dissolution. They tell me the solution is see through this illusion. I'm living a few friends.
So yeah, for a minute there, J. Cole was ahead, but Kendrick's rise was inevitable once he signed with Dr. Dre and then proceeded to drop Good Kid, Mad City. This album was a classic album, and even Cole admitted to it on the 7-minute drill record. And once the Control verse was dropped in 2013, we all knew that Kendrick had caught up to J. Cole. Cole would respond the only way he knew how, with a classic of his own, 2014 Forest Hills Drive. That album solidified J. Cole's place in rap, but then Kendrick came right back with To Pimp a Butterfly, and that was the moment where, in the eyes of some hip-hop officials, he had passed Cole. Now, there are some critics to this day that label To Pimp a Butterfly as the best hip-hop album of all time. I mean, it's one of a very few albums to get a perfect 10 out of 10 rating by Anthony Fantano.
But it's albums like this that people use as benchmarks in musical history. And it just happens to be fantastically enjoyable as well. I'm feeling a 10 on this record. Yeah.
If that means anything to you. But overall, it was a successful album. The album got him 11 nominations at the 2016 Grammy Awards, which made him the rapper with the most nominations in a single night and second overall, only behind Michael Jackson. He won the Grammy for Best Rap Performance, Best Rap Song, and Best Rap Album, a category which J. Cole was also nominated in for his 2014 Forest Hills Drive album. Also in 2015, Billboard would drop their top 10 greatest rappers of all time list, and Kendrick was ranked at number 9, above legends who had been in the game for decades. Keep in mind at this point, Cole wasn't even mentioned on that list. Later that year, we got the Black Friday track, where Cole rapped over Kendrick's Alright beat, and Kendrick rapped over J. Cole's A Tale of Two Cities. Both verses were fire, but most hip-hop heads agreed that Kendrick had the upper hand. His verse felt sharper, more effortless, and it just reinforced the idea that even when Cole was at his best, he couldn't really touch Kendrick. In 2016, J. Cole dropped For Your Eyes Only, and honestly, the reception was kind of mixed. His die-hard fans loved it. They got that deep, introspective Cole they had always connected with. He was talking about fatherhood, mortality, and what it means to pass wisdom down to the next generation. It felt matured, grounded, and very personal. But outside of that core fan base, people were not really rocking with it the same way. A lot of listeners felt the album was too mellow, too slow, almost like Cole had traded energy for introspection. And then came the comparisons. Critics started saying For Your Eyes Only felt like Cole was trying to copy Kendrick's To Pimp a Butterfly. The socially conscious storytelling, the jazzy production, even the black and white album covers. It all felt a little too familiar for some people. Whether that's fair or not, the narrative started forming that Cole was chasing Kendrick's artistic lane instead of defining his own. And then right on cue, Kendrick came back in 2017 with Damn, and that album was a monster. It was his most commercially successful project to date. He had radio bangers like Humble and DNA, but still managed to pack in dense lyricism and layered storytelling in songs like Lost, Fear, and Duckworth. It was the perfect balance between mainstream and meaningful rap. Damn went on to win Grammys, top the charts, and even earned Kendrick a Pulitzer Prize, the first rapper in history to ever do that. At that point, it was hard to argue who the number one rapper was in the game, because the crown was pretty much sitting comfortably on Kendrick's head. Yeah, Cole and Aubrey knew I'm a selfish guy, the crown is heavy, huh? By all measures and accounts, Kendrick was above Cole for now. The same artist who once wanted to sign him was now standing behind him. And this wasn't just some fan theory, it was obvious to everyone who was paying attention to hip-hop. You see, when fans debate Kendrick versus Drake, some people still lean towards Drake. And that makes sense because Drake is a global icon, he breaks records for fun, drops chart-topping singles like it's nothing, and his reach goes way beyond hip-hop, or at least it used to. But that whole argument falls apart when the conversation switches to Kendrick versus J. Cole, because Kendrick is not just commercially dominant, he's also artistically untouchable. He's like a mixture of Michael Jackson and Prince combined. He has been able to reach a huge level of success without ever abandoning the craft. But regardless of the huge momentum Kendrick was on, when the world needed him most, he vanished. Kinda like the Avatar. And just like the Fire Nation took advantage of the Avatar's absence, J. Cole would get the chance to take back his position. And boy oh boy did he take back his position. After years of being known as a quiet, self-contained rapper who barely did features or collabs, J. Cole suddenly flipped the script. Between 2018 and 2021, he started showing up on everyone's songs. And this version of Cole, he wasn't the sit down and think about your life choices J. Cole from For Your Eyes Only. He wasn't the save your soul Cole from KOD. No, this was bar for bar, sharp tongue, competitive J. Cole. He did not need to carry an entire concept or preach a message. He was out to prove a point. It wouldn't take much time for Cole to be rewarded for his new shift. He would secure his first Grammy Award when he linked up with 21 Savage for A Lot.
My nigga 21 Savage, he got a nigga is damn. The only Grammy I ever won was because of this nigga 21 Savage, you know?
From there, it was like everything he touched turned to gold. Every feature, every verse, boom. He was basically the new Drake. Not in the sense of chasing radio hits, but because every song he hopped on blew up. And the verses just kept getting better. Cole was sharper, hungrier, and more confident. And the hip-hop heads started rallying behind him again.
Just tell me what you see when you look out into the landscape.
I haven't taken a real deep look out into the landscape, but from where I'm sitting, it looks like J. Cole is the only one being competitive. He's the only one who's rapping with the kind of conviction that says, you know, like, I still value the number one spot as a lyricist.
Yeah, he killing. Yeah. I got Cole as my one. I'm hoping that Kendrick's next album could try to fix that for me. Drake is doing his Chuck E. Cheese shit. Yeah, good for him.
Different battle.
That's it now.
Yeah,
that's it.
In terms of rapping,
I think they all fight. I think they all are on different lanes at this point. Because Cole is clearly trying to show that I am the best rapper out of just the big three, whatever you call it.
At this point, it felt like Cole was carrying the rap game on his back, while Kendrick was still in hibernation. Cole was outside, he was active, visible, and untouchable. He was dropping verses so good that people stopped asking where is Kendrick and started saying, can Kendrick even handle J. Cole? It was clear to everyone that J. Cole had surpassed Kendrick again, and when he dropped the off-season, that only sealed it. That album was pure rap, no fillers, no skips, just straight bars. J. Cole's dominance was impossible to ignore. Anyone who was really paying attention could see it, and one of those people was Kendrick himself. Kendrick would make his big comeback on Baby Keem's Family Ties, and from the jump, you could tell he was coming for blood. The energy was wild, and he basically stepped back into the game and said, yeah, I've been gone, but don't get too comfortable. On that track, Kendrick made it clear that nobody was safe, with lines like, the game needs me to survive, and smoking on your top 5 tonight. These were not just ordinary bars, they were warnings. And a lot of people thought he was taking shots at Drake, which makes sense on the surface, but if you are being honest, it felt like the smoke was aimed at J. Cole, because at that point, Cole was the one sitting on top. And when Kendrick would finally announce Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, the whole world paid attention. It was his first album in 5 years, and his final album with TDE, so the expectations were sky high. But when the album would drop, it turned out to be a very introspective album and a very personal one for Kendrick, and not a lot of people were really impressed. Now, I personally love Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, and I'm sure it will go on to age as a very important album in hip-hop, but at that time, we had been waiting on Kendrick for 5 years, and we wanted something we could digest immediately. But instead, it was Kendrick revealing his trauma on the album. Now, even the numbers of the album told the story, as Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers would sell 295,000 in the first week, which on paper doesn't sound bad at all, but once you consider that it was a double disc album, things look a little different, because you have to split that number into 2, and now you're looking at 147,000 copies, a huge drop from his last album, Damn, which sold over 600,000 copies in its first week. And while people were still trying to make sense of Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, J. Cole kept his foot on the gas. Then he dropped one of his finest verses yet on Lil Yachty's The Secret Recipe. If people were not really convinced that J. Cole was the hottest rapper out, this verse definitely changed their minds. He even ended the track by saying, "Signed, the greatest yet." People instantly started reordering their big 3 ranking and putting Cole at number 1.
Production like J. Cole.
J. Cole got him in a documentary as well. Yeah, he kills it. Kendrick.
J. Cole is my favorite MC of this era. Shout out to Conway the Machine. I love him to death. Benny the Butcher. J. Cole, oh man, like he's a problem.
To me, Cole and Kendrick, they're tied to me.
I love Kendrick, but you got to understand, Cole said, "No Cosby shit, but if they sleeping on me, fuck them."
Shit, I didn't even catch that.
Fuck that, yeah, no, for J. Cole.
He was being seen as the #1 rapper, and what made it even more special was that Kendrick was actively rapping at this time. So Cole was not just shining in the moment where Kendrick was in a quiet season, he was thriving while his biggest peers were still active. But before the hype from the secret recipe verse would even cool off, another bombshell would be dropped by J. Cole in First Person Shooter with Drake. Now this wasn't just another feature, guys. This was the moment. Two of rap biggest names finally going head to head on the same track. And man, Cole delivered. His verse was sharp, it was confident and full of that championship energy. And for the first time ever, J. Cole would get a #1 song on the Billboard Hot 100. It was official. J. Cole had surpassed Kendrick again. All this momentum that Cole had been building, the features, the bars, the headlines, the dominance, Cole was in his bag, riding the wave, setting the trends, and being labeled the GOAT by just about everyone. It felt like nothing could stop him now, just until the Like That verse dropped. Now this totally changed everything. I mean everything. Everyone was waiting to see how the battle would go down. Kendrick had just dissed both J. Cole and Drake, and while everyone knew there had been tension between Kendrick and Drake for years, nobody expected him to take aim at Cole. That was the real shocker, because at this point Cole was not just another rapper, he was the rapper. We all wanted to know how J. Cole would respond to Kendrick Lamar, because J. Cole was in his bag. Remember, J. Cole had all the momentum. He had been building up these verses for years, daring anyone who would be bold enough to step up to him to come. So when Cole dropped 7-minute drill, it was really not what we were expecting. Instead of the fiery, ruthless J. Cole that had been tearing up features for years, we got something more subdued. Anyways, the response from Cole to Kendrick was really underwhelming, but it was noted to just be a warning shot to Kendrick to let him know that Cole was ready. But before Kendrick would even start recording another song, J. Cole would do something that has never been done in hip-hop history. He apologized. Now I'm not going to go deep into what happened afterwards with the whole Kendrick and Drake saga, but the exact moment when J. Cole apologized to Kendrick, it was like watching him take the crown off his own head and handing it over to Kendrick. And from that point, things just started going downhill. It was clear that he was affected by the rap battle, and from that period up to this moment, no J. Cole verse had had the sting it once had. Even when he addressed the beef on his song Port Antonio, many people felt it was a little too late, and the anticipation for his long-awaited album The Fall Off had dropped significantly. Now remember that Cole had been teasing this album since 2018, and by the looks of things, it seemed certain that the album would come out in 2024 or early 2025. But since Kendrick emerged as the winner of the battle, Cole had to take some steps back because he would need to adjust some of the things on the album. It would be difficult for him to come out bragging to be the best when he couldn't even last the first round of a friendly hip-hop beef. And the most disappointing thing for me is that I felt Cole was one of the ones who could match Kendrick, because there's not a lot Kendrick can attack Cole with. Now when you really think about it, J. Cole's story is almost poetic. He came into the game ahead of Kendrick, he was the bigger name, and he had the cosigns. Then Kendrick came through, sharpened his pen, and took over the game completely. Most rappers would have faded right there, accepted their role as number 2, but not J. Cole. He bounced back. Even in an age where most artists would start to decline, J. Cole got sharper, hungrier, and more dominant. He clawed his way back to the top, and for a moment he was number 1. But just as quickly as he got to the top, he willingly gave up his spot again. And maybe that's what makes him different, because while Kendrick was chasing greatness, Cole was chasing peace of mind. And in the end, that might be the real fall off. And no matter how this story plays out from here, one thing is for sure: we were lucky enough to witness these two titans go head to head in an era that desperately needed that spark in hip-hop. Thanks for watching the video, guys, and if you like the video, please like the video and remember to subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you guys on the next one.